19, copies of which are in the meeting packets. Any revisions or corrections to the minutes necessary? If not, is there a motion to approve the minutes? Motion by Smith, second by Martins. Members in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? None are opposed. Minutes are approved. Item number 2 is discussion and possible action regarding authorizing a compensation plan adjustment for internal alignment for police department lieutenants. And you've got some supporting information in your packets where they've outlined, the HR department has identified a compression issue within the police lieutenant position at the police department. And so HR Director Vanderboom in her memo has recommended that we approve an adjustment that addresses the pay compression and then adjust the anniversary date of the 6 lieutenants to occur according to seniority, which then should alleviate the issue that's created by the adjustment and the issue that caused the misalignment in the first place. We don't have her with us this evening, but they're looking at the fiscal impact to be $4,100 for this year to fix that situation. And in the past, when we've looked at salary compression issues in some of those departments, what happens is you have difficulty getting people to take command positions because they're making more in positions where they can earn overtime than they would as in a command position. And then you'll have a situation where with the anniversary dates, it sounded like in her memo, using the service anniversary date was actually causing senior members to get their adjustments after their less tenured counterparts. And so it appears that this would address both of those situations. Do we have questions for her or for Mary Ann before we would consider a motion on the item, or should we go ahead with the motion? Okay, then we'll have you want to make the motion? Okay, so we have a motion by Smith. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Martins. Okay, and we'll wait for Mary Ann to come back for your questions. She probably has the info that we need. Hello, you're fine. We're on item 2, internal alignment for police lieutenants.
Yeah, while we're waiting, sitting on the HR committee, I think one of the big problem is that with represented and non-represented employees, when you make that jump from patrol into command staff, that's when the pay compression starts. So this is something that's going to have to be done periodically, about every 18 months or so.
Yeah, just to keep pace with everyone else.
Just to keep pace with everyone else.
Yeah, and we've addressed it in the PD before, but it's been a number of years since we've had to, so they may be further behind now than they would have been when we last did it, because we haven't been doing it every 18 months or so. It's been a number of years since we last addressed it, so.
The salary study just kind of really brought this to light,
Yeah.
I think.
That makes sense.
I have a question. When you go to command staffs, I know when I was out on the street, I was just a lowly little patrol officer, but when you went to lieutenant and so on, you didn't get overtime. You whatever hours you had to work, you worked. Do our lieutenants make overtime?
I do not believe so, and that's where the compression issue comes from, because
Okay.
then you're considered an exempt employee.
Because I'm looking at the resolution, it says estimated 4,100, not including overtime or benefits.
I don't know.
So the question that we're looking at is on the, that's okay, we're on the internal alignment for the police lieutenant item. And the fiscal impact that Tony has listed in her memo indicates $4,100, not including overtime. But do those lieutenants earn overtime, or as a command position, they do not?
The command staff at both police and fire, as part of some past resolution that you adopted, basically treats them like union employees, so they do get it.
They are, okay, so they are eligible for overtime?
Yes.
Okay.
Say that with disgust.
I was going to say, you say, okay. Okay. And the HR director just walked in. Do we need some insight from her? Or does that answer your question about the overtime? They are getting overtime?
It would appear as they are, yes. That's very unusual.
Oh, here comes Tony. We're on the police lieutenant item.
Lieutenants receive overtime, other command staff do not.
Okay, other command staff defined as what? Captains and above?
Captains and above, yep.
Okay. All
Okay.
right, I can see I'd want to stay as a lieutenant then, I think.
Many do.
Or just a patrol officer, we always got overtime.
They've always had trouble getting people to promote to captain because the lieutenants are making more money.
I can understand why.
Yeah.
We have a couple of positions within the city that are exempt from Fair Labor Standards Act, so basically, according to federal law, don't have to receive overtime that we grant it to. Lieutenants are one of them, battalion chiefs in the fire department. The supervisors in public works receive it during snow season.
Okay,
So we just have a couple of exceptions that we've granted in our handbook.
okay. All right, any additional questions? If not, we have a motion and a second on the floor then to accept the adjustment. Members in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? None are opposed, that motion carries. Thanks, Tony. Okay, that brings us to item number 3, discussion and possible action regarding a budget mod for the street maintenance budget for $28,000. And we've got that item in our packets also. Is that here? There's a memo inside the packet, request from Eric Lindman to adjust this budget. Let me see here. Was this for his skin patch?
Yes.
Okay, so this is skin patch for pothole repair. It looks like they're just transferring funds from one budget to another to get a little more of that done.
Yeah, and I think it is a matter of, they had budgeted for some of these projects in these individual line items, but then when they did the actual purchase, they purchased it all out of one line item.
Okay,
So it's really just to align.
To realign it where the expenses really
purchase
are?
order, yes.
aha, okay. All right, so kind of a housekeeping item with money we've already budgeted. Okay, so with that, do we have a motion then to modify the street maintenance budget for $28,000 to align the expenses with the budget item?
I make that motion, Madam Chair.
Motion by Nutting, is there a second? Second by Smith. Further discussion or questions? Seeing none, members in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? None are opposed, that item carries. Item 4, discussion and possible action regarding authorizing an intergovernmental services agreement between the City of Wausau and the Town of Stettin, whereby the City of Wausau would provide fire and EMS services for the Town of Stettin. And we do have the fire chief with us this evening, if you have questions for her on the contract. This contract we've considered before. We did not get this contract in the last cycle. This would, though, increase our general fund revenues by approximately $40,000, and it would allow us to provide service to a neighboring community that's immediately adjacent to the city. Anybody have questions for the fire chief on the item? If not, is there a motion to approve the contract? Motion by Smith. Is there a second? Second by Nutting. Further discussion? Seeing none, members in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None are opposed. That motion carries as well. Item number 5 is discussion and possible action regarding the authorizing the modification of fees to the City of Wausau fees and license schedule adopted pursuant to Wausau Municipal Code, Section 3.40.010 Sub A, the comprehensive fee schedule hourly parking fees. And you've got a chart in your packets where there's some proposed adjustments to parking rates, specifically in some of the lots and ramps. Does anyone have questions on that item for Mary Ann? If not, is there a motion to adjust the fee schedule and approve the motion, approve the resolution?
I make that motion, Madam Chair.
We have a motion by Nutting. Is there a second? Second by Martins. Further discussion? Seeing none, members in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None are opposed. That motion carries as well. Item number 6 is discussion and possible action regarding volunteer parking for the Center for the Visual Arts. And you'll see a letter in your packets from the CVA outlining the age of some of the volunteers that volunteer half-days over there. And they are seeking to allow to continue them, well, I think they've been getting some parking passes that are issued out of the mayor's office that allow the volunteers to park closer and gives them some parking privileges so that they're volunteers that are often up in age don't have to walk quite so far to get to the CVA, and they don't have to then walk in also from the ramps and parking structures. It's the worst in the winter, but the letter seems to indicate that them being able to park closer to the facility is a big plus for them getting people to help. Do we have questions on that item at all? If not, is there a motion to approve the volunteer parking permit issuance for the CVA? Motion by Martins, is there a second? Second by Smith. Further discussion? Seeing none, members in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? None are opposed, that motion carries. And which brings us to item 7, discussion and possible action regarding the August General Fund Financial Report. And we'll turn that over to Mary Ann.
Not a lot of change from prior month's reporting. It looks like we are going to finish the year strong. We are showing stronger revenues, kind of going along with our past months. We have been working on our municipal court revenues that we've been reporting are trending lower too. We did find a small hiccup in the way we were reminding people to pay their tickets due to some turnover of staff and some loss of institutional knowledge. So we're getting caught up in that process, so that will hopefully stir people to immediately come in and pay their tickets, and we can get caught up in these last couple of months of the year. Expenses are still looking good. I did do a projection because we had been reporting higher than average winter costs through, the first quarter of 2019, and I looked at the last quarter of 2018 and added that to our 2019 budget, and I still think we'll be okay overall in expenses. So I am predicting, about an $800,000 profit for finishing off 2019 because, again, of the strong revenues. So nothing of concern there.
Fantastic news. Sorry, now I did it. Fantastic news. Does anyone have questions for Mary Ann about the narrative? Go ahead, Dave.
Well, you mentioned a key item there, loss of institutional knowledge or retirement of staff. Was that within the police department or within our departments here?
In municipal
both?
court.
Oh.
So there was just one individual who worked in municipal court.
Okay.
And, that there's a lot of procedures that you have to follow to, I guess, once the ticket comes into municipal court for payment, that system serves as not only an accounts receivable system, but it also serves as a court scheduling system as well. And so there were a number of procedures that needed to take place to send out reminder notices and things like that. And some of those fell by the wayside because they weren't aware that they had to do some specific coding to tell the system to send out reminder notices and so for that reason, then people didn't get reminded, so then they didn't pay.
So do we have a plan in place to
Yes.
continue that knowledge flow to the potential future employee?
Yes, hopefully, because you did authorize a half position for that department, so that now there's 1.5 individuals working. So if you would have someone leave, and when there is a vacation, in the past, there was no one to fill that position when
Right.
someone took a vacation or a leave. So now, hopefully, you'll have that, I guess, going forward, because that other person will be trained. And I think the other thing is, this was a homegrown system, and so, it's working with an old green screen DOS-based program, and there's no documentation in the file either. So again, it was just based on specific training. In the CIP budget for the 2020 capital program, is to replace that system. So that will help too, because both of the individuals will be fully trained in the new system. And I think that the new system, some of these things that we're having to do manually today will occur automatically.
Sure, and the programming could be also reminding, have reminder windows pop up saying, here's what you next have to do. And
Right,
certainly
right.
that would be pretty good.
Good, good, good. Any other questions for Mary Ann on the report? If not, then we'll place her report on file, and that is the last item on the finance agenda. We have our, just a reminder, on Thursday, October 10th at 6:30, we have the second of our 2020 budget workshop sessions for the Finance Committee. So we'll be meeting here right after the SISM committee ends. And then we'll also at that time compare calendars and see if we can find a date that's agreeable for everyone for a third meeting the following week. We usually always need a third session to wrap up the loose ends. And so Thursday, depending on where we are at the end with completing that budget discussion, if we need that third session, we'll try and get that set, pick a date, and we'll have an agenda put out right away for that for the following week. So with that, a motion to adjourn would be appropriate. Motion by Martins, second by Smith. Members in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? None are opposed. And we'll stand adjourned, and Common Council will then convene in this chamber at 6:30.